there is a heartbreaking paradox that no one tells you about. The people who understand everyone else the most clearly are often the ones who feel the most lonely. You aren't just noticing things, you are carrying a volume of data that the average brain has simply refused to process. While your friends are laughing at a joke, you're the one who noticed the half-second delay in the host's smile. While everyone thinks the meeting went great, you're the one feeling the cold tension that lingered in the silence between two coworkers. You catch the micro-expressions, the shifts in tone, and the words chosen a little too carefully. And for a long time, you've probably asked yourself if you were just overthinking or imagining things that aren't there. The truth is, you weren't imagining it. You aren't too sensitive, and you aren't broken. You are just processing the world at a frequency that most people haven't tuned into yet. You're navigating life with a high-definition lens in a world that's often content with low resolution. But seeing everything comes with a cost. Today we're going to talk about why your brain works this way, where this gift actually started, and how to stop it from draining your life. To understand why you see what others don't, we have to look at your brain's internal bouncer. In psychology, there's a concept called latent inhibition, which acts as a filter for your senses. Every second, you are flooded with information like the hum of the air conditioner or the way someone across from you just shifted their weight. For most people, the bouncer is very strict and labels 99% of this as junk mail. But for you, that filter is porous, a state known as low latent inhibition. Research from the University of Toronto suggests this isn't a flaw, but is often linked to high creativity and intelligence. However, if you don't know how to manage it, it doesn't feel like a superpower. It feels like a flood. You are like a scientist who can't turn off the microscope, constantly performing deep processing. You aren't just living. You are deciphering every small detail and weaving it into a complex map of what is actually happening. It is brilliant but inherently exhausting because your brain doesn't know how to turn the lights down. Why did your brain decide it needed to notice everything? While some are born sensitive, for many, this ability was forged in early environments. In psychology, we call this hypervigilance. If you grew up in an unpredictable home where a parent's mood could shift without warning, your brain learned to be an expert in reading signals to stay safe. You learned to decode the sound of a car door or a heavy silence because knowing the emotional weather was your only protection. This was your emotional armor. You developed a high-alert system that scanned for the slightest hint of rejection or instability. The problem is that this survival software is still running today. You're an adult in a safe place, but your brain is still acting like a radar dish in a storm. You aren't paranoid. You are a highly skilled survivor who hasn't realized the war is over. You're still using massive energy to track everyone else's emotions, often at the expense of your own. Have you ever noticed that after a simple dinner with friends, you feel like you've just run a mental marathon? This is the social hangover. Most people leave a social event thinking about what was said, but you leave thinking about what wasn't said. You are processing the emotional noise of everyone at once, from the tension between a couple to the hidden sadness in a friend's laugh. You are running a supercomputer on a standard smartphone battery. Your operating costs are simply higher, leading to a specific kind of sensory overload that sleep can't fix. There's also the villain of insight trap, where pointing out the truth makes others feel exposed and defensive. You've likely learned that being right about people makes them uncomfortable, so you stop speaking up. This creates a wall of secrets where you understand everyone, but no one truly understands the weight of what you are seeing. The answer isn't to try and see less, as you can't turn off a brain trained to notice the truth. The goal is to learn how to manage the responsibility of what you see. One of the most powerful shifts is learning to distinguish between information and task. Just because your brain picks up that someone is upset doesn't mean it has been assigned the task of fixing it. When the overthinking starts to loop, try the observer's anchor technique. Instead of scanning for emotional cues, pick 3 physical objects and notice their texture or temperature. This forces your brain to switch from high-level processing to primary sensing, pulling your energy out of everyone else's head and back into your own body. Give yourself permission to have a social hangover and stop judging yourself for needing more downtime. You are simply a deep processor who needs time to clear the cache. You've spent a lot of your life feeling wrong or defective because you couldn't just turn your brain off. You've been told you're too sensitive or that you're imagining things, but your signal is not broken. The world needs people who see what others miss, who notice the person standing alone, or who feel when a yes actually means a no. You aren't a broken version of normal. You are a specialized version of human. When you stop treating your perception as a burden and start treating it as a signal, the loneliness begins to fade. You realize you have a rare ability to see the world in full color. If you've spent your life thinking you were too much, maybe it's just because you were around people who didn't know how to see as much as you do. If this resonated with you, please share your story in the comments. To understand more about how deep thinkers navigate the world, click one of the videos on the screen. If you want to support these judgment-free deep dives, subscribe to Psychology of Your. You're not wired wrong. You're just looking closer, and that is exactly what the world needs.